Hi, good afternoon. Hello, everyone that's tuning in this afternoon. Welcome to Open House 2022. My name is Lynette, and I'm from the Diploma in Communications Design. I will be your host for this segment. I have something very special lined up for all of you today. I have invited three guests here with me. Let me first introduce them. First off, we have course chair Sean Koo. Sean, can you wave to our audience so that they know who you are? Okay, current second year communications design student Jamie Xiao, and alumni who graduated in 2011, Eric Sim. Eric would have graduated a decade ago now, isn't it, Eric?
Wow, yes,
Yeah.
almost 10 years.
Can I
It's been
invite our
right.
panel to please say a hello to our guests tuning in?
Hi.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in.
Okay, to kickstart this afternoon's segment, our first presenter is Sean. Sean is the course chair for Diploma in Communications Design. His sharing today is on the topic crafting meaningful ideas, concepts, and solutions for tomorrow. We will invite Jamie and Eric to join us shortly again with their sharing. Therefore, without further ado, I'm going to hand over the virtual stage to Sean to share with you about our course. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat function so that we can capture and address the questions that you might have along the way. Thank you, everybody, and over to you, Sean.
Thanks, Lynette. I'm going to share my screen now. I'm just going to take you all through very quickly what I'm going to cover. So hope everyone can see my screen. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is just a very brief introduction about the course, what communication design is about. I think a lot of people have been asking what exactly is communication design, what do we learn, what do we teach, and what do we do as we graduate from here. So the tagline that we have crafted here is crafting meaningful ideas, concepts, and solutions for tomorrow. So that broadly encapsulates what communication designers do. We deal with ideas, concepts, and delivering solutions, which I'll elaborate a bit more later. And later, Jamie and Eric will probably touch more about other things related to what you might want to know about communication design. Okay, so to start off, maybe we are all familiar with this environment, right? You're looking into this talk virtually. I'm speaking through a screen to everyone. So COVID-19 and digitalization has really disrupted our way of life, and that has also impacted the industry as well. Through a published study by National Design Industry and Manpower, 2019-2020, which is one of the latest studies that is published, it has found that COVID-19 and digitalization have amplified the need for designers with the following transdisciplinary skills. So namely the top four here: communication skills, digital skills, technical skills, and of course creative skills. Right. So on the right, you will see a whole list of other associated skills, attributes and capabilities that is expected of the worker of the future. So related to that, I just want to use this as a starting point to talk about, why communication design exists, right? The way that we have shaped our curriculum, and which I'll share a bit more in a while, it's a brand new curriculum that has been tweaked, fine-tuned, gotten validation from industry and our partners to kind of respond to some of these shifts and developments in the industry so that we can better prepare our graduates for the future, right? So let me just quickly jump into a very simple definition of what communication design is. So on the right, you look at this definition that says we work at the intersection of graphic design, business, and technology. So communication designers primarily craft delightful experiences for users, helping clients to deliver solutions, etc. So three of our strongest points that I just want to touch on is that first and foremost, we have a long and illustrious history, right, in graphic design. Our history dates all the way back to 1969. The new curriculum allows students to explore multiple pathways. You will get to personalize your learning through a large offering of very exciting electives, which I can touch on a bit in a bit. Students and alumni have also consistently been recognized, right? Our graduates have performed very, very well at top level awards, locally, internationally, and they are also doing very well in the industry, in their positions. They have very interesting career trajectories. So this is something that sets the course in good position for at least the near term and the long future. So a very broad overview, 5 pillars that I just want to touch on. First and foremost, communication design trains students to deliver purposeful solutions. The keyword here is having purpose in our solutions, right? We're also focused on helping students to understand the foundations of design so that they're able to craft beautiful narratives and outcomes, right? After all, what is a solution if it doesn't appeal aesthetically to the audience so that they may want to take a second look amidst all of the visual, things that are coming to you on a daily basis. We put a lot of thought into topics and trends and issues that surround us. So they develop responses to campaigns. Delightful brands, ultimately, I mentioned earlier, we are about crafting delightful experiences. And of course, last but not least, it should have a lot of meaning to the user, to the human, to the client, right? So I mentioned that the course has been tweaked. We have gone through a very significant shift in our curriculum. And this overview, I just want to touch on the few focus areas that the course will be focusing on so that students who come in will be aware about, the kind of subjects and the topics that they'll be exposed to. So in 2022 April, for the intake that's coming in, all the students will go through a common foundation semester. That's where students, no matter what diploma you go into, you will be taking a common basket of subjects, everything including from discovering design, where you will learn how to understand, the ideation process, the design process, the disciplines in design, and discovering what design is all about. How do we do design? You will understand how to approach design in the context of socio-political, economical contexts that have been shaping design through the ages. You will learn how to have a strong foundation, skills in color theory, principles of design, basically elements of art that will train your aesthetics towards design. You will experiment with form, materials, to learn how to prototype very quickly with hard material, soft material, to kind of train the hand, right? The hand-eye coordination and the prototyping skills, because design today is really a very cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary discipline that requires you to be familiar with a lot of things. So that's why it's very broad-based. And last but not least, shaping your sensitivity to visual narrative. You'll be equipped with skills in basic photography and videography. And ultimately, beyond the technical handling of this equipment, you will learn how to tell stories, right, through imagery. So that shapes common foundation, and you will move on to a semester where you'll be trained in the craft of graphic design. So everything from typography, art direction, learning how to visualize in 3D, working with print. So this will be the focus of your year one, and that will conclude your year one training. As you move on to year two, you will move on to a high level of strategic thinking, as well as be exposed to the digital ecosystem, right? So that's where you will learn how to work with tools that will allow you to design for the screen. That will include things like UX, UI, user experience, user interface principles. Learn how to develop strategies to create comprehensive visual identities, brand systems, design motion graphics. Understand the whole marketing funnel to propose integrated campaigns for your clients, right? You will also touch on topics that will allow you to be exposed to business innovation and technology. So that's where your digital innovation, brand experience, collaborative transformation will come in. So one of the very highlights of our year two curriculum is that you will be allowed to choose an elective, right? So on the right over here, you will see 4 subjects that will allow you to personalize your learning experience. So choose from a basket of 4, where you will be exposed to design for business impact, learning about business models, learning how to create, a strategy with the foundation and starting point of design in order to impact a business and its bottom line. So then you will also understand principles of psychology, aspects of game design, or things like replayability, things like, motivation for players, so on and so forth. And then, of course, last but not least, you will be exposed to sustainability topics in consideration of planning in a space. So when you move on to year 3, the focus is actually on industry engagement. But that doesn't mean that we take away the fun, right? So after having gone through all that training in year 1 and year 2, we will also allow you to take a further basket of electives. So these electives are meant to be experimental, expressive, and exploratory in nature. So you'll be choosing from baskets that include coding, printmaking, illustration, as well as self-publishing. So to cap it all off, after going through these subjects, you will go on internship, and eventually you will integrate all of your learning into a capstone project or what we call a major project or final year project. So very quickly moving on, the team that we have in CMD, Communication Design, is a large team comprising of people who come from the industry. They were previously practitioners. So the teaching team, other than full-timers, we also have a full team of adjuncts who will be able to provide very real life industry experience to our students to help them to understand, what does it really take to work on the real life brief and respond to some of these demands in the industry. So here are some pictures. I'm just going to very briefly touch on the student experience where I believe Jamie later on will also share a bit more. So here are some pictures of how student life is like, and some of the outcomes that our students produce throughout the 3 years of studies here. So you will see that there's a lot of interaction in the classroom. Some of these pictures are of course pre-COVID, right? So we gather, we put up our work, we talk about our work, we share about our work with each other, and we give comments to each other so that the students may be able to improve and fine-tune and streamline their work processes. You will see a lot of presentations, so you've got to be comfortable talking about your work. And you will see on the top right here that eventually, other than just presenting on screen or talking about slides, you will translate your ideas into tangible outcomes that can be interacted with in print format and discovered in interesting ways to interact with your design outcomes. So yeah, and I also want to touch on the fact that we have a lot of industry collaborations. So here's an example of collaboration with Esplanade, where they develop some of the collaterals and campaigns for some of their new initiatives. Of course, we have the students, a group of students working with lecturers to design logos for national level projects like the Budget 2021. And this is a very simple overview of what the students put together at the end of the 3 years of studies, where the final year showcase, which is something that's coming up in March for this current graduating cohort, where you will consolidate all of your learning, produce a set of collaterals as a final showcase to your potential employers, right? So industry talks form a large part of our student experience. Guest workshops, whether it's international guests who fly in to deliver specialized workshops for our students, or even specialized or niche workshops that guests and industry come in to do exhibitions and talks for our students. Other than people coming in, we also send our students out. They go to Facebook, go to Google, they go to printers to understand the latest printing technology, so on and so forth. And of course, study trips is something that's quite a distant back, pre-COVID. But as much as possible, we like to create a very comprehensive and a holistic learning experience for students where they go on to overseas study trips. This is quite an important piece of our student experience. We encourage students to participate in competitions so that they are able to understand, where they are benchmarked against peers in the industry, right? So, and a lot of our students go on to do very well, like what I mentioned earlier, winning very prestigious awards both locally and internationally. And last but not least, the industry briefs I mentioned earlier. So on the left here, you will see this project with Takashimaya, where they designed the packaging for Christmas. And the students were happy to see their outcomes being held by shoppers during the Christmas season along Orchard Road. So industry briefs, not just with clients, if you recognize some of the big names of the advertising, the agencies out there, they work with us very closely on industry projects, so that the students get a chance to understand how to present to clients, how do they work on a live brief, so that when they go into internship, they are not caught off guard, right? They are already exposed to the fast pace and fast turnarounds that are expected of them in the industry. So I'm coming to the end over here. I believe some of you are so curious, after 3 years of studies here, what are some of your further studies options? So just very quickly to touch on the fact that graduates have also been accepted in various universities, both locally and internationally. So they don't just go on to pursue degrees in design. A lot of them have gone on to non-design programs as well. So, more information on further studies can be found on various websites and all that. So last but not least, coming to the end, other than studies, as you graduate from here, the objective of the course is really to prepare students for the industry to be employed. So this is again sourced from the same report that I started this presentation with. The expected number of design roles that is going to be ready for us in 2025, which is in about 3 years' time, right? It's expected to grow to about 85,000 jobs that will be available. And right at the top here, you will see a whole list of potential job roles that are waiting for you in the industry, ranging all the way from graphic designers to content strategists and everything in between. So this is a very fast-moving industry. The roles are continually changing and shifting. So it's not possible to capture everything that is available out there. But other than the design sectors, increasingly, we are also seeing our students moving into the non-design sectors where traditional businesses are trying to embrace design thinking. So they're setting up in-house design teams and hiring designers to tackle some of their most complex problems in the industry today. So that will conclude what I have for my presentation. I hope that gives you a very quick and simple overview of communication design. I will stop here and we will probably take questions later in the Q&A section. So I'll hand the time over back to Lynette for the next section. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean, for that very insightful presentation about our course. If I could just ask everyone to be patient and we will attempt to answer any questions that you might have later. We have a short Q&A session at the end. But in the meantime, if you want to capture your any questions at all, please use the chat function. Next up, I would like to invite Jamie, our current second-year student, to share about her experiences in communication design. I think this would be quite an exciting segment for our guests to tune in to hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak, about her life right now. Over to you, Jamie.
All right, thank you, Lynette. Hold on, let me just share my screen real quick. Hold on, can you see my screen? Great. Okay. Hello. All right. So thank you very much for tuning in with us. So I'm Jamie, as Lynette has very kindly introduced me. And I'm a diploma student in communication design in year 2 at TP. So I'm very sure all of you are like curious, in the COVID period, how has the design student been surviving? So for me, because I'm in year 2, the priority was given to the year 1s and the year 2s this year to year 3s to go back to school. So a lot of my time was in home-based learning. So I would wake up at 8:30 and then I would get ready for the call for the very first lecture at 9 a.m. And then afterwards, the timing would be in 3 different sections. So it could be from 9 to 12, 12 to 3, or 3 to 6. Usually classes are only 2 blocks, and then 1 block is for your own studying and your own research. So some of the very exciting things in my student life. The first one is a little bit pricey. I like sleeping. So I guess the home-based learning helped me to be able to have enough rest. That was a bit of a highlight and it's a bright spot in this otherwise tiring and like upsetting period of time. But and also was highlight also was the brainstorming and peer sharing sessions that I had. So I was able to do this online with my classmates, and I could share like the different perspectives that we all had. And this also how I made friends as well, because like, you realize that our ideas click and then you hype each other up. That was really exciting for me. And then the last highlight is also that I get to see my classmates' fruits of their labor. After all of the work that they've done, I can see the showcase and appreciate the work that they've put in. And some of the new experiences that I've had. So I actually was in O-level art previously, and I have to say that learning design is very different in TP compared to in secondary school. So for O-level art, what we do is the traditional art, like canvas painting, acrylics, making sculptures, learning the gallery artists and old masters. But the sheer variety of subject types that are under design, as Sean has actually pointed out, it's so much, Under communication design, you can be doing photography, you can do video editing, marketing, advertising, and web design as well. So and they're all very practical because you can apply them directly into your assignments afterwards and also into the industry thereafter. So that was something new and pleasantly surprising in this course. The other thing was the the sheer amount that I learned from my schoolmates, because there's this phrase that I like to remember. It's that more diverse the experiences, the higher the output of creativity. And poly brings people from all walks of life, so you can really hear other perspectives. You can learn so much from your classmates, and it's like a perfect environment for fantastic ideas to happen. And the last one is time management. So I realized, because in my course, I don't have exams, but that also means that everything is project work. So consistent effort trumps sprinting to one end goal. So you have to be able to manage your time, plan everything out properly, and then use it and like be judicious with the time that you use. So talking about projects, so here are some of the projects that I have gone through so far. This is a project that I went through in year 1. It's called Design for Print. And what we do is we learn how to lay out articles in a way that is appealing, as well as having the imagery to be able to guide the eye around the article. And as you can see, this is from the same article. Each spread is meant to be in the same theme, but we are encouraged to render it differently, so it's still interesting. And this one was photography. So this is a special place in my heart, because I had no idea how to do photography when I came into this module. I only know how to press the clicker. So from this module, I learned all the basics. I learned all the aperture, exposure, all the technical terms. And for this project, we were given a theme, and then we were to photograph that feeling with just printed paper. All of this is printed paper only. And even though it might not be the best, I would say that I'm proud of myself, because I was able to learn something new, and I wouldn't have been able to do this if I didn't go through this course at all. Yeah. And okay, then the next one is an advertising module. So here, what I was given was to advertise instant noodles. Yeah. And the lighter version of the very spicy samyang noodles. So what I did was, we were taught how to have the narrative, how to have intention in how we design. And it isn't just that it's pretty, then it will work. You have to think about how your brain goes to the viewer's brain and how it would connect. So here I branded it, I kind of framed it like the light-hearted version of the otherwise heavy and spicy samyang, and that makes it more fun and more enjoyable to eat. There's also just like the other campaign of the same product. And this one was my studio project. So what I did was, I chose to create an application that and gamifies the home-based exercises of teens who need physiotherapy. This is so that they do the exercises and get better. Here is I got to learn and use the things that I learned from another module, which is Design for Screen. And I could create like an almost fully functional app. So you can see, even though it's from a different module, you always use the knowledge that you have learned in your next few modules and courses and projects as well. You see as well a website design for promoting the app. And then this one was my latest project, corporate identity, who Lynette taught me for. So this one I had to learn how to brand a company for co-working space. And we had to, this is under my specialized in branding, in which we have to think about, what kind of tone we want to speak, who are we talking to, like what are we trying to achieve, and like how that translates from a visual to, the audience, and can they relate to that? So here, imagery as well, and how it will manifest in the deliverables. Here are the touch points. Okay, so the next few projects that I'm going to get to, as Sean has pointed out, ISP, SIP, FYP, scary, but I think it'll be interesting. This one would be in which the 3 specializations are going to come together to have a group project. However, the incoming batch will be able to learn all 3 of these specializations and have electives. Like I think game design sounds really interesting, as well as the psychology one. So do look out for that. And also for the student internship program that I'm also going to go into. What I found really interesting about this is that you might not necessarily be posted to design firms. You could end up in a bank and then you do their design work. So you learn how to have cross-sector communication, which is really important when you go out into the workforce later on. And then finally, your final year project, which is a combination of all that you've learned, and it's pretty much a solo job. And then your lecturers will affirm and guide your ideas as well. So some of my lecturers that I've had the privilege to teach me. So Lynette, hello. She taught me corporate identity as well as ideation and visual literacy. So what I found very exciting about working with her is that I have my ideas, but she also has her experience and her perspective, and then we can improve the current work that I have. And that optimization was very satisfying for me. And another lecturer that I went through was Andrew. So he taught me advertising and kinetic graphics, which you guys will also be going through if you go through this course. I personally was very scared of kinetic graphics because I've never touched video editing ever in my life. But Andrew, he is very passionate about what he does. He is so excited when he's teaching you. You feel like, wow, I want to do well too. You know, I want to learn how to be able to do this, and then you know, be as excited about this project as he is about teaching me. And yeah, so he's a real inspiration to me. And also for advertising, he made me realize that I quite like storytelling. And so I ended up in branding. Yeah. And then finally, Brian, who has taught me many subjects, typography, design for print, guided learning. He's also my teacher in charge for my class. And Brian, as you can see, he's very involved in like working in TP and like the teaching team, but he always does take out time to be able to like check that I know what I'm doing. And he also does give me like some pointers on how to improve my current workflow, as well as like sometimes he sends me some helpful articles to be able to read up, to be able to have some idea of how to improve. Yeah, so that's all for me. I am wondering what I'm going to do next time, and I'm a bit nervous about what's to come, but we'll see what the future holds for me. So thank you so much for your kind attention.
Don't panic, Jamie. Perhaps we shall invite our next guest, Eric, to share with us what he did after graduating from this course. Eric, co-founder
Yes,
Epic
hi.
Dialogue, a people's marketing agency that helps mission-driven companies create social impact through sustainability communications, employer branding, and corporate social responsibility events. Eric oversees the growth and operations of the agency and has worked with clients such as Changi Airport Group, Enterprise Singapore, Maritime Port, just to name a few. Eric also delivers lecture, on an adjunct basis on topics including marketing in an omni-channel world, creating social media strategy, and more. Without further ado, Eric, over to you.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining, and thanks Lynette, Jamie, and Sean for sharing. Yes, so I'm an alumni, graduated 10 years ago from Temasek Poly Design School. And coincidentally, Lynette was also my lecturer for one of the modules that was called Digital Essentials back then, 10 years ago, right? Like how Sean has mentioned that the design landscape has changed so much over the years. Whatever I've learned, right, in the past, it's not obsolete, okay, but it forms a basis of what we are having right now in the current landscape. So for today, my sharing is the advantage of a blank slate. Why having no experience is actually one of your biggest assets, right? So for students who are considering to embark on a course or on your further education with TP design, especially in communication design, I think the talk today will give you some insight on the journey that I took, as well as my entire process, okay, from being a student to being a freelancer and then creating my marketing agency. So my name is Eric. I'm 31 years old this year. I started my first business at the age of 22. and I was still in university with no formal work experience. So I guess the message that I want to share with you is that why having no experience is really one of the greatest assets that you might have as a young person, because the world is your oyster, right? And you can basically do things that you dream of, and you have the energy and you have that drive to basically achieve your dreams. So my sharing today is my basically documenting the journey that I took in the last 10 years. Yeah, so in my journey as a creative entrepreneur, I've grown from being a design freelancer to running a full-fledged integrated marketing agency, and we've worked with clients, corporate clients across different industry, right? So being a designer, you're not limited to only doing design work. For me, I've branched into integrated marketing. So from being a design freelancer, I've gone on to do social media, events, etc. And having a design education actually helps me, okay, form that basis and the I would say courage to explore other verticals of marketing, right? So some of the clients that I've worked with would be Capital Land, Jeep, Sentosa, NUS, Changi Airport Group, etc. Okay, and we are an award-winning social impact integrated marketing agency. What do we mean by social impact is that we connect people, tell meaningful stories, and spread the brand love through our unique combination of marketing, events, and branding capabilities, just to make an impact to the society, right? Whether it is in the social enterprise sector, whether it is social service sector, or even in the government sector, right? We are pretty good in what we do from a digital and branding perspective. Okay, so a little bit about my agency. People and meaning are the heart of our work. So what do I mean by that is that instead of looking for ways to interrupt people, right, with nonsense marketing messages, what we do is that we persuade them and build trust with people using events, for example, creating beautiful branding graphics and messaging to build trust and understanding, okay, of our customers' audience. And one of our main ethos is we want to do good, do well by doing good. So we strive to do meaningful work that do not add to the noise, but add values to people's lives. So with our skills, creativity, capability, we hope to address business challenge, society challenge, to help the community basically. Yeah, so in the past, we have run corporate responsibility events. We have done branding work for government as well as social sector. And I would like to share some of the works that my agency have done. Okay, so the first work that I'm really very proud of is the annual report for Changi Airport Group. So this was the first job that I did when I was 25 or 24 years old. Okay, so at that time it was huge for me because I was still, coming out as a freelancer, and basically this was one of the bigger jobs that paid the bills, but at the same time gave me this credential and portfolio to continue moving to other bigger jobs, right? So this is annual report design that we've done for Changi Airport to basically talk about what their achievements are for the year, and basically to tell the stakeholders how well they are doing as a company, right? So using communication design, we're able to spread that message of goodwill and build a trust with the audience. And the next work that I'm pretty happy about to share is this branding campaign that we did for Singapore Post, which is they're launching they actually launched a smart letterbox last year, and they got my agency to do a rebranding exercise to launch their smart letterbox. What we did for them was from naming of the new technology to creating the brand elements such as the logo and character mascot design, all the way to animation, video, and posters, and through the line collaterals to basically promote, right, the usage of this smart technology. So I'll give you a little bit of background. Why we call ourselves a social impact agency? It's because we work on works that really impact the life of people. What do I mean by that? Is that for this particular project, it was rolled out in one of the HDB blocks in Clementi, okay? And most of the residents in Clementi, they are all old folks, basically. So with old folks and digitalization, how are we going to bridge the gap, right? So my agency came in to do a series of brand related campaigns, okay, to basically onboard these old folks to join the digitalization journey, basically. And 90% of the residents, okay, from the trial blocks that they were launched on of this technology, adopted the technology, and most of them, like, people who don't even old folks who don't even have a smartphone to begin with. So there was a lot of engagement and reaching out to them through this campaign, which was the heart of what we did for the engagement campaign. So as you can see, as a designer, you can have the power and the impact, right, to use your skills, knowledge, and creativity to change the world for the better, right? Because of pandemic, a lot of old folks are, being left behind, maybe because they might not have the technological know-how to connect with the world, basically. And through campaigns like this, it gives me a sense of satisfaction, right? That we can also help these old folks get onto the journey of digitalization and make their life easier. Okay, so some of the other works that we've done for Enterprise Singapore, such as video campaigns, social media campaign for NUS, branding campaign for MPA, and this is for sustainability as well. So a lot of our work is sustainability and corporate responsibility based, in a way that we hope through our work we'll be able to impact, right, the society and make the world a better place. Okay, and more events work as well. So as you can see, my agency is very diversified, okay, coming from a branding perspective all the way to events. And I would like to share with the audience that this is the power of having design as your core competency, because then you will be able to do whatever you want that you conceptualize in your head, right? And basically the world is your oyster, the sky is the limit, basically. And how I started my business is that I had $350, okay, to start my business, and here is my story. I graduated in 2011 in Diploma in Communications Design. Back then, it was called Visual Communication. Okay, so at the risk of sounding old, okay, I'm not very old. I'm only 30 years old. Okay, that this was taken like 10 years ago, when I was, pre-COVID, pre my university, was having a lot of fun in school. So as you can see, I believe even up till now, that the student spirit is still very strong, like what Jamie has shared, right? The whole, even during the pandemic, you're able to share your work with your classmates, and bond with them over conceptualization of your project. And Sean has also shared the student life that you expect when you come to when you come to TP Design as well. So for me, I had a fantabulous time in school. I was a student leader back then, and at the same time, I was also doing a lot of freelance work on the side as well. So my journey with TP was very varied. Okay, from a designer to a student leader, and also as a freelancer, as a student freelancer, basically. So yeah, the opportunities that I was given, I was very blessed, and always tell people that I'm very lucky to have graduated from TP Design School. And that is where I got my first few commercial design work. So, this very, on hindsight, it may look very ugly, but I'm glad that, there is growth, right, in the kind of work that I did 10 years ago compared to now. Okay. And these are some of the design works from TP. I don't know if Lynette remembers some of the work that I've done during my final year project, and some of the publication, as well as design work that I've done from school as well. And basically, I went from TP Design to Singapore Management University, and I went on to take a bachelor's in business management. And I transited from design to business and finance. So this is where, with my design core competency, I went on to pursue other things to complement my design skills. So I learned a different skill set and subject matter to diversify basically my core competency. And that's where I'd like to present to you my marketing agency. We've been around for about 8 years, and I started Epic Dialogue with really no real work experience. Basically, I jumped right into business after army, and initially only handled graphic design work, but now we have clients across various industries, working on end-to-end marketing campaigns, from digital to advertisements to events marketing. Okay, so this is where I combine my design skills with business knowledge to basically create and carve a space for myself in the industry. And these are the works that we have done in the last 1 year. I'm very proud of the team. We are just a small team of 8, okay? And we are managed to create all these impactful, social impactful campaigns for clients of different sizes and different industry. So as you can see, you know, the possibilities for taking a communication design course is endless, right? You can do UI, UX, you can do advertisement design, you can do branding, events. And for me, I choose to do everything because I'm very greedy, right? And because I just love to try out new things. And that's basically where I am with my agency right now. 10 years later after graduation. Okay, so my academic and entrepreneurship taught me that past achievement or failures don't define who we are, and we are all work in progress, right? And starting from a blank slate can be daunting, but it gives us the freedom to learn from our past and keep our approach fresh. So for me, my advantage of not having experience while starting the business is that I don't have the baggage of what should be or what should have been done. You know, I just try new things, and I guess that's where my clients find value in me. That I provide fresh experience and a different kind of twist and perspective through campaigns, right? So we have to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations to grow as well. So this is the most important lesson that I've learned, because it's not all a bit of roses when starting the agency. There's a lot of ups and downs, sometimes very traumatizing for me as well, especially during COVID lah, right? When I really had to pivot and find a new angle to how I conduct my business, right? As with a lot of people and students. So for me, really put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. And this is where I'm able to grow, and I'm very proud to share my progress with you and check in with, you know, with Lynette. When I catch up with her, it's like, oh, hey Lynette, this is how much I've grown since the student time, right? Yeah, and very grateful for Lynette, Sean, and the staff of TP who basically, right, groomed the kind of person who I am now. Yeah, so some of the lessons that I learned is that a lack of experience is a blessing in disguise. So this is one of the first job, my first big win with one of the corporate customers that we have, that was NUS. Okay, and lack of experience doesn't mean that you're bad at your job. When I first took on this project with Changi Airport, I didn't have much experience, right? But the output of this is that despite this work being done almost 5 years ago, it is still very fresh looking. It still looks like it's very modern and current, basically, right? So having no prior experience may not be a bad thing, because you provide a fresh perspective to any potential jobs that you're doing, so that you can go from here, which is mediocre, to excellent, right? So 10 years ago, my work is blah, right? And then and then moving forward, we've got clients who we dream about of having 10 years ago, and right now I'm having them, and I'm really grateful for the experience. So cue dramatic effect, you are going to fail. So this is a message that I would like to give all the potential young students of TP design here, that failure is actually not a bad thing, because it's experience, okay? And these are the businesses that I've started in the last 10 years, basically. Very busy. I kept myself with different kinds of things. I started, you know, art class, and then I started a design studio, and then a photo booth company, and then a F&B platform, and all of them has failed, right? Well, not fail, but more like, you know, they are no longer working for where I am right now. And all the experiences that I've accumulated over the past 10 years, building all these new businesses, eventually led me, right, to creating a very successful marketing agency that is Epic Dialogue. So I would like to encourage you all, this is the time where you need to consider your career, right? Take the first step and see what is available for you out there. There's no point considering and you know, taking the time to explore your options when you don't take the first step. So my advice to the students coming in is to just trust your gut. Okay, if you feel like certain decision is right, just do it. And even if it fails, it forms a part of your learning experience, which will set you up for success in other areas if you don't give up. Okay. So this is my message to all of you. So it's okay to restart from a blank slate. And I would like to thank you all for listening to my presentation today. If any questions, can just let me know.
Like Eric
Thank
mentioned, he
you.
was my former student. Very proud of you, Eric. Never got to tell you this officially, but yeah,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
students will be happy to hear that starting from a blank slate is actually an advantage. Typically, we would think that that would be a disadvantage to everyone. So that is truly encouraging for many of us to hear. Thanks
Yeah.
for the exciting array of projects shared. Truly, we can see that design is about solving problems in our daily lives.
Mm.
So yes, I want to reiterate again that communication design is not art. Or just creating beautiful things. We want to create work that will impact and enrich lives. Through
Mm.
your journey, Eric, I also get to break the notion that you need a lot of money to start a business.
No, $350 enough already.
Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah.
In fact,
And
if you can keep it low cost, like $0, that's also okay.
wow, okay. So that is truly the blank slate advantage. Huh?
Yes.
Okay, so truly the pathways after 3 years in communication design is so vast. Like Eric said, graduation is only the beginning. So follow your heart and mind and give it all your passion that you have to strive, and the success will come to you. So Jamie, after Eric's sharing, any thoughts? Are you truly inspired?
Oh yeah. I guess what really struck me with Eric's sharing is the leap of faith thing, because I actually was gunning for JC for 4 years of my secondary school life. All the way up to applications, I was like, JC, and then when the open house started, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll try poly, because I realized that it's something that I love to do. Design is something that I love to do. And if I went to JC, is it something that's going to help me truly in my, like, my, how do you say it, job next time? Yeah, like concrete things to learn. So I guess that leap of faith paid off for me. It wasn't something that was like, oh no, I'm regretting it now. Yeah. I have a few questions for Eric, and I'm sure some of you have thought of these before. I think in terms of, because Eric did mention that you went to business school right after you went to design school. So do you think it will be necessary if, like, after my education in design, it will be good to study business in conjunction with my design skills to, like, go for, say, aspiring entrepreneurs? Do you think it's a good idea?
I think whatever route you take, as long as you're the right mentality.
Eric, you're muted.
Oh, can you hear me right now? Can you hear me?
Can.
Can. Okay. So I think as long as whatever route you take, as long as your mindset is concrete, okay, that you really want to do something out of your skills, your life, then I guess wherever you go may not be an issue. But for me, what helped me in my business bachelor's is that it gave me competencies such as marketing, okay, marketing 101, like your 4Ps and price, product, and all that, right? And the theory behind things like your management, finance, for example. And that actually helped me with my own accounting in running my own business as well, okay? And things like operations management. How do you use Gantt chart, for example, to produce a project timeline, for example. So these are very useful practical skills that I learned in business school. So in response to your question, having design as a base competency is really helpful, okay? But to make it even better, you can don't have to go to business school. You can go to IT school, for example, or you can go and learn coding on your own, for example, right? Or you can go and do sales, for example. And then these are the things that you accumulate over the years to complement that core competency that you have. That is design communication. And for me, it helped me save a lot of money when I actually am the own designer and the own branding specialist for my own companies, right? So I hope I answered my question.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Eric and Jamie. So you have heard from Eric, acquire your superpower first with us at Communication Design. Okay, in view of the time, we have a couple of minutes left. Is there any course-related questions? You can type in the chat box. We have Sean here who can help to answer some final burning questions. I've also provided the hyperlink to our course webpage in the chat window if you need to find out more information about communications design. Any questions from the floor? Okay, I don't think so. If there are no more questions, we'll wrap up the webinar now. Thank you to our panelists and all that's tuning in today. We hope to see you in communications design. Thank you and bye.